Welcome to another episode of Euloguse Me, and yes, I am wearing a priest's outfit. This might be me for the remaining podcasts. I'm trying something out. You got to try things in life. Okay. Anyway, on this episode of Eulogize Me, I have friend and comedian Muhsin Yesilada. We had a really good talk, a lot about his background, his introduction into comedy and his journey so far, and also his other achievements in life that you will come to discover. What I would love you to do for me is to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Also, just subscribe to wherever you get this podcast from. Tell a friend if you enjoy these conversations. Let me know too. Send me a message. I need encouragement. The more encouragement you give me, the better I feel and the more energy I have to keep making these podcasts. So yeah, if you enjoy it, let me know. But listen, let's get into the episode. It's Muhsin Yesilada. Yes, we are back. Muhsin Yesilada is in the studio with me today. I like to start these podcasts with an origin story because I always think about how I met the people that I actually end up talking to. And you know, the first time I think we actually even spoke, I don't even know how we did it, but it was during lockdown. And you were putting together a writing session with Michael Hall, and I got involved somehow, and I don't remember how I did it.
This is true. This happened.
You remember that?
Now I do. Now that you say it. I completely forgot about this.
I don't remember how that happened, dude. But that was like the first time I think I even spoke to you. I hadn't met you prior to that. Do you remember where you? Do you remember
we met.
me?
We met before that.
Where did we meet?
Twice, you bastard.
Oh, you clearly you're not memorable.
We met twice. I remember what you were wearing the first time we met, Roman.
Oh wow! I mean, that's emotional.
You were wearing a white long shirt,
Yeah.
a t-shirt kind of thing, and blue jeans and maybe boots. And you were saying some very vulgar things on stage.
And nothing's changed.
That isn't fit for a man of the cloth.
Well, to be fair, everything's changed. To be fair,
that's what you were wearing.
But yeah, oh man,
It was at Vauxhall Comedy Club.
Is it?
Yeah.
I got a bad memory.
Might be in a Sunday show, the early Sunday show, maybe.
Okay,
maybe.
But yeah, we've met many a time since then, and I think it was really after a night of Top Secret when it was the Gong Show, and I ended up driving you and Ed home, and I think that was when our communication and a friendship kind of started up from there. You know?
Was that the night I got gonged off? Or was it the night I won it?
No. This was definitely the night you got gonged off. This was definitely the night you got gonged off.
Thanks for the lift. I needed it after that.
Come on, man. It was a resurrection story from there.
Yeah,
I mean, you rose from the ashes like a phoenix and went back and won the thing. You know what I mean?
That was the last time I ever did stand up.
Oh, yeah.
We just stayed in touch.
Oh, jeez. But yeah, man, so that's my origin story for you, really. That's kind of like where I remember you from the most. And yeah, you've gone from strength to strength from there. But welcome to Eulogize Me.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for coming and being a part of the podcast.
Allahu Akbar.
I got to start now. I don't condone half of the things this guy is gonna say.
Oh no, I'm gonna say things that we're all thinking. Right? I speak for the people, Roman, because you and your collar boys stopped doing that a long time ago, and it's taken real men like me to say how it is. So let's get going. I'm joking.
It's gonna start as manifesto, man.
Yeah. England.
But yeah, so first things first. When I asked you to be a part of the podcast and asked you to write your own eulogy, what were the first thoughts you had? What went through your mind initially?
That is so much fun to sit there and think through what I could say about myself.
Yeah.
And I wrote one, and it was very fun to write. I didn't take it nearly as seriously as I should have done.
No, you know, like I said, you don't have to take it seriously. It's a personal preference, you know.
Well, here's the interesting thing that I kind of worked out about myself psychologically. I was taking the piss while writing that eulogy, but in the eulogy, I still wrote that I had a Netflix special. So even in my silliest moment, I was like, but I'm still getting that.
Well, when I read through it, I thought to myself, all right, he's taking the piss, but there's a few things in there where I was like, but that could be a sign of something that he genuinely wants in his life, you know.
Bare baby mum.
But yeah, bare baby mother.
Yeah.
So you had a bit of fun writing it. Do you find it hard praising yourself or writing about yourself in general, or or does that come easy?
Comedy makes you used to writing about your own achievements because you have to write bios and descriptions and all that stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And you have to keep track of the things you've done. I don't know if other people in other jobs keep count of the good things they've done, like children.
Yeah.
We are such children if you think about it. I got to the final of this competition.
And
You're 27, Muhsin.
and then I won the gong show at this nightclub.
Yay! Good boy.
It's true. I mean, like, you have to do it for the sake of the hustle. You know, it's necessary.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, I guess you could say in that case it's a requirement of the job. But with that being said, actually sitting down and writing about yourself in disguise, did you said you just enjoyed it. You just enjoyed it. Came easy.
Funny.
Yeah.
That's what was funny. But I did also think, what would I write if I had to write a serious version of this? And I don't know what I would say. I don't know.
That's interesting.
I don't know what I would say, especially have to write from how I'm perceived by other people.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, with that being said, let's get into your eulogy.
Yes.
So on the podcast, I invite you to read your own eulogy.
Sure.
So if you load it up, read it out.
Okay.
This right here is Muhsin Yesilada's eulogy.
We've gathered here today to celebrate the life of Muhsin Yesilada, a father, an ex-husband, and reformed extremist. Muhsin came from humble beginnings. Son to a business tycoon, Muhsin crawled his way out of the private school system into a successful comedy career. It was during his comedy endeavours Muhsin met brother Farhan, who is no longer with us due to a boating accident. The two became close and eventually moved to Syria together in their efforts to counter aggressive Western expansion, and in the words of Muhsin himself, to get those 72 virgins on lock. Muhsin eventually returned home after his superiors realised his lack of commitment to actual combat. It was at this moment Muhsin began fathering his many children globally. In total, Muhsin had 14 children from 15 women. He loved many of those children. To his baby mums, Muhsin has asked me to read you this poem. I wish I pulled out. Some of you don't know this, but Muhsin wrestled with his sexuality for years, often going away on strange trips with strange men he met online. Towards the end of his life, he came to grips with his identity and settled down with his longtime friend, Roman. They were so happy together. After his Netflix special titled Years of Chlamydia and Still Fertile, Muhsin took a step back from his comedy career to focus on what mattered to him most: family. And with that in mind, Muhsin asked me to read out the messages to his loved ones in the room. To his darling ex-wife, Anne. Stand up, Anne. Muhsin had this message for you. Your sister was the fit one. To his son, Lionel Ronaldo. I'm not your dad. Dickhead. And finally, to his true love, Roman. You've got chlamydia.
No!
What a beautiful ceremony.
What a beautiful ceremony indeed. Especially me dressed like a man of the cloth and then finding out that everyone finding out that I was a closet homosexual and I now have chlamydia.
I mean, pretty standard for the church these days. That's just a Tuesday.
Oh, bless you. Lovely eulogy.
Very good.
Lovely, very well written, very well read also.
Thank you.
I can tell you you can tell you're a presenter.
Thank you, sir.
You can tell you get on stage in front of people.
Thank you, sir. Sir.
I mean, there's a few things in this eulogy. I'm just thinking to myself, where do I jump off with this? Let's start with the fact that up top you said a father. That was the first thing up here, you know.
Good point. I do want to be a dad.
You know, it was the first thing you wrote. And even though, like you said, it was a eulogy, it was wrote with a little bit of humor involved. I'm like, okay, let's get to the things that might be true. So, you know,
Look at you. I didn't even notice that, you know.
Well, this is why I ask people to send me the eulogies up top.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you write a funny one. There's something in there that's speaking in that subconscious.
It is. Fuck, you're good.
Listen, man, this ain't my first rodeo.
Yeah, get this man some more children.
But yeah, so a father was the first thing. What's your views on having kids then? What is your desire where that's concerned?
I really want to have kids.
Yeah.
Like, I've wrestled with this a couple of times in my life, and there's been times where I said I don't want to have kids, but I want kids, man.
When you've wrestled with it and kind of been like when you've had that thought of I don't want to have kids, what was encouraging that? What was inspiring?
All short-term selfish reasons. Like, I can't be asked. They'll cry. I'm not gonna sleep much. But then and this is what these kind of podcasts are for. I'll tell you straight. When I was watching my dad pass away, and I saw he was surrounded by his kids, his nephews, his nieces, and all these like people that, you know, within the community that have cared for him and respected him, I thought to myself, this is a life that's been worth living. Yeah. And I can't imagine, God forbid, I'm ever one day like dying and I don't have like kids to come, you know. Yeah.
I could imagine that it would probably be quite a sad moment. You kind of making me think about it also, because I've wrestled with the idea of having kids, and I guess in that moment, if you are kind of like passing away and there's no one around to like hold your hand and to be there for you, there must be a moment, I guess, where there's a degree of regret. 100%. You know, you mentioned that your dad has passed away, and I think that's something I want to touch on with you at some point during this chat. But back to you in the sense of like having kids and being a father. Would you say that reason that you gave, is that the main reason, or is there more involved there?
I think that's just the purest form of love, and it's the purest thing you can achieve, you know. Like we do comedy, yeah, and it's fun, blah blah blah, but like, you know, be careful what you wish for in life. You know, you give your whole life to a career, you get to 80 and you realize, oh, you pushed away absolutely everyone for this one endeavor. It's like, we've spoken about this before off air, that Johnny Cash song Hurt, and the music video. I think about that song at least once a week, where he says, you can have it all, my empire of dirt, and you see like his old house and he's got his broken records on the floor,
and it's just him alone.
And it speaks volumes to me, man. Like, you know, we can, like, this is a beautiful art form, but it's not the most important thing. It's just not like for example, my dad, he achieved lots of good stuff in his life, but like, was he thinking about the revenues of his business from 2004 in his last moments? No, like he definitely wasn't. And if he was, actually,
imagine if he was though.
He might have been.
That was a good year.
To be fair, he did. This is personal, but fuck it. He did. My brother-in-law's our family accountant. Yeah. And he pulled my brother-in-law close, and my brother-in-law thought he was gonna like say something like, "Look after my daughter" or some shit like that, and he said, "Did I sign those files?" and there was no files. He was just confused.
Got you.
So my brother-in-law was just like, "Yes, you have," and he goes, "Okay, good. Make sure you send it."
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, I love the fact that your brother-in-law in that moment had the presence of mind to be like, there's no files, but just say signed the files.
Yeah, we signed the files.
This is not the time to be getting into a deep conversation about the files.
Man's knocking on heaven's door and he's like, sorry, one moment, I need to go back. I forgot something.
I didn't sign an initial.
Those bastards take everything if you don't sign. Sorry, God, one moment.
So family, man, tell me about family then, because obviously fatherhood, family, you know, it all kind of rolls into one. So what's your family background, man?
I've got 2 Turkish Cypriot parents, traditional, old-fashioned, survived wars, all that stuff. Worked from like the age of like 12. Yeah. Moved here, didn't really have much money. Built up a successful business, had bare kids. There's like 4 of us.
4 of you?
Yeah, 4 of us. It's not that much, but yeah, I suppose.
No, four's still a decent. Yeah, that's a decent haul.
Yeah, that's a busy dining room table, you know.
Yeah.
It's a busy kitchen.
So Turkish Cypriot, and like you said, they survived wars, so they went through a lot of turmoil.
Yeah.
Did your father fight in any of the wars, or was he just kind of like,
Did he
you know what I mean?
Man cut. Man cut is like, no.
He got out of there.
No, so he was doing, you do compulsory military service. He got out a year and a half before the war kicked off.
Okay.
So he got lucky that he joined the army. Because it's compulsory, right? So
Yes.
if you're in there and there's a war, there is no like, no thank you. You're in.
Right. Yeah.
You're in.
Yeah.
So he got out a year and a half before the war kicked off.
And what
We were
about
very
your
lucky.
mum? When did she?
My mum, she moved here when it kicked off the first time round. So she moved here when she was like 7.
Okay.
But she has like memories of like hiding people in her house.
Yeah.
That soldiers were looking for and stuff.
Got you.
And it's like when you're raised by like, this is like something again we've spoken about, but like I don't hold my parents to a standard that I wouldn't want my kids to hold me to. Like my parents did a great job in how they were trained to see the world, you know?
Yeah.
Like when you're brought up in those circumstances, you're going to have a very different worldview to the circumstances I was brought up in. So sometimes if my parents say something and I don't agree with, I'm like, they're doing their best with the rule set they were taught to abide by, you know? I can't change the rules on them at 50, 60, 70 years old. It's unfair. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And the same is going to happen for you.
Exactly.
And for me.
Yeah.
Like, I feel it happening for me already, where it's like, there's just certain things that I was raised with. And when I see kids being raised now, there's a part of me that's like, I would not be talking to them that way, or like, I wouldn't be dealing with them this way. They'd be more disciplined, whatever. But I'm stuck in my
100%.
zone.
I'll give you a good example. You know when people like chat shit about kids using iPads, right?
Yeah.
Which I get, but also your grandparents were cussing your parents for letting you use a Game Boy or letting you watch television.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So there's always something that we're going to cuss. Like we're probably going to cuss our kids for the iPad as well.
Or VR.
Or VR.
VR will be the next thing.
And they're going to like cuss their kids for like time travel or some shit.
Right,
like that.
right. Yeah. Why can't you just stay in the present?
Yeah.
No, I get you, bro. So okay. So with your parents, do you know how they met?
Yes.
What was their origin story?
So, my mum was a prostitute. I'm joking. And my dad was horny. No. Where are those stories, though, man? The people who have those stories, they don't admit to it. I wanna hear the guy who fell in love with the stripper. You know?
That is the story that we're all waiting for,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. There was a kid from the neighboring school to mine, and his mum was a porn star.
For real.
Yeah, and it came out that his mum was a porn star, and his life, oh, bro, it got rough.
I could imagine,
It
man.
got rough. People like it was a girl. It was a girl. It was worse. People were showing her photos of her mum having sex in the hallway.
I will challenge that, and
on.
I will say I think it would actually be worse to be a boy, knowing that your mum was a porn star.
Yeah, probably.
But that's just me in my own brain.
So
Like, I don't know if there's a way to actually figure out statistically who it's worse for.
Yeah.
But I just feel like knowing what guys are like.
Yeah, it's not an ideal wank. It's not an ideal wank at all, is it?
No.
No.
You know. Although maybe you'd be tempted.
Yeah.
So how did they meet?
So my dad was working in a shop that his brother owned in Cyprus. My mum was on holiday visiting Cyprus. This was like 80s, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Some shit like that. And what happened? Oh yeah, so my mum came on holiday and she went into the shop.
Was it the first time she came?
Nah, she's probably been better times. I don't know, to be honest. Oh, right. Okay. Very good. Yes, my mum was a sweet virgin, you bastard. She was a sweet virgin. Still is.
Bless.
Just like your mum.
Yeah.
Mary.
Yeah,
Black
God.
Jesus. Anyway,
Yeah.
so she came into the shop with her sisters. My dad was just like instantly like had a thing for her, even though she was 7 years younger, so a bit of a nonce. And he convinced his sisters to like go around to their house in Cyprus to visit, so he could just spend more time with her. And at this point in my mum's life, her parents were trying to marry her off, like trying to do an arranged marriage, and she weren't feeling it, right? And my dad had a massive crush on my mum, so he came around a couple of times and he just stood there awkwardly, didn't say much. And then on the last day of her holiday, he pulled her to one room and says, "I've got a massive crush on you. I think you're great. Would you like to get married?" Which by today's standards sounds mental, but back then,
Standard.
pretty standard. And this is the bar that my dad used on my mum. that I think is generational riz. Yeah,
Go
this
on.
is the highest level of riz any man can ever achieve. Is how my dad pulled my mum. Right. So he said, "Would you like to get married?" My mum's going through all of these arranged marriage invitations. She's hating it. So she turns around to my dad and says, "Don't you want to ask my dad?" And my dad said, "I want to marry you, not your dad." She got pregnant instantly.
She just felt herself
That's
get the goosebumps,
Then
baby.
bent my mum over the coffee table and they made my sisters there and there.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
So how many of you are there? There's 4 of you.
4.
And what is it? 2 boys, 2 girls?
2 older sisters who are twins and 1 younger brother.
Identical?
Nah.
Okay.
Boring. Pointless twins.
Yeah, I think if you ain't identical, then what's the point?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let them know I said that.
Exactly. Slags.
So, and how much older than you are they?
They are 5 years older than me.
Okay.
Proper older sister vibe, bossy. Like tell me what to do, patronizing. To this day. Like my family, I'm convinced think I'm a failure. Like I'm convinced at this.
So, I mean...
They talk to me like I'm such a dickhead. It's unreal.
I mean, PhD...
Yeah.
Very successful in comedy at the moment.
Yeah.
And they still think you're a failure.
They just
what do you
talk
have
to me.
do?
They just talk to me like I'm a moron. Like all the time. Like if you lot ever hear this, just chill out a bit. They just talk to me. They're like, listen, right? I know you gotta go do your comedy thing.
Your little comedy thing.
You gotta make sure you do this. You gotta do that around the house. Can you handle that?
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. The patronizing tone is serious.
Even though I'm by far the most successful sibling. By far. You hear that? Chissa and Bussa. Oh, I shouldn't say that, but you know.
Oh, what's that? What's that?
Chissa and Bussa lives in. I'm joking. No,
I don't even know what this means.
yeah.
I'm starting
That's their names.
Oh, got you.
It's just so foreign you didn't even realize their names.
I'm like, what language are you speaking?
Shabla.
This is so exotic.
Lovely Shabla.
So let's talk about that success. In terms of your studies, were you always... So you have a PhD.
Come on.
So you're Dr. Yesilada.
Come July.
Come July.
Yeah, when they hand me that piece of paper.
All right, got you.
Inshallah.
So a few more months to go.
Yeah.
And what's that like? I mean, what's it like? What does it feel like to have reached that level of study, man? And that achievement?
I'm a bit indifferent to it now. I think before the comedy started popping off, the PhD stuff was probably more integral part of my identity and how I perceive myself. But now, I'll be honest, I don't give a monkeys, man. It's just a bit of paper. Like, it doesn't really prove anything in the ground. All it proves, really, is you can stick something out. That's all it proves.
Because how many years in total did it take, all told, for you to get to that stage of achieving a PhD?
8 years of university.
Got you.
Which is a lot.
Oh, I mean, 8 years of anything is a lot.
Yeah, 8 years of university. Like, I started my undergrad in 2015 and my PhD was submitted in 2023.
Got you.
So that's a long time, man.
So, like you said, at this stage, because comedy has taken such a forefront in your life, the PhD doesn't have as much of a meaning to you.
No.
But at what stage did it actually still mean a lot to you? At what stage?
Probably up until after when we started being able to do gigs again after the pandemic. Because this, like we just started hitting it hard, man. Like we were like gigging, like our lives depended on it.
Yeah.
And you know what's interesting? I was looking at some like old archived photos on my Instagram, like throughout the years, because I've archived a lot over the years. And it's interesting to watch how your network of people has changed, of like people who interact with my things. Now it's like most of the people who interact with my stuff is like people I don't know, obviously, who like follow the comedy and other comedians. But like, 6 years ago, it was college friends, school friends, stuff like that. So I'd say you'd agree with this. I'd say over the last 3 years, like comedy's completely taken over our lives.
I think
it's basically all we do these days, really.
Yeah. And it's like, if you're not doing it, if I'm not doing it, there's a big part of me that feels like I should be.
Yes.
Like I feel guilty.
Or you're doing things adjacent to it. Like this is all adjacent to it.
Yeah. It's all part of technique of talking, of interacting, holding a microphone.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all part of the whole process.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess this is because I'm curious with regards to the PhD. Like, I didn't go uni. I don't have a degree, so I don't even know like that
You coward.
feeling
You're a
of
coward.
achieving it. You
Yeah,
know?
shame on you.
I know, but
It's
honestly,
disgusting.
I'd self-flagellate every
Yeah,
night.
yeah. Stop
based on
listening
this.
to this uneducated fool. He didn't spend £45,000 on bits of paper so his mum can flex to her friends. What was he thinking?
I know. Why did I not get myself into £45,000 worth of debt?
Only for you to go do comedy.
But but yeah. So with that being the case, though, with you feeling the way you feel about the PhD,
Yeah, the hood.
yeah. How do your family view it?
My mum loves it. She's proper in on it. I don't think my siblings give a shit. My brother just thinks I'm a waste man. He'll look at I'll like tell him something about like what I'm studying and goes, not gonna lie, that sounds like bullshit. Yeah. I'm like, it does a little bit. Sometimes like you need to be like G-checked on it. Is like, that sounds like bullshit. And I'm like, fundamentally, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, this is all like a massive waste of time.
Got you.
I enjoyed my PhD, man. I enjoyed Isn't Usual. I think one of the comedians like that. Like, I like the fact that not many people have PhDs. I like the fact that not many people do comedy. I like having my own unique path, you know?
Yeah.
I never thought of myself as a risk taker.
Okay.
When I was a kid, I used to admire risk takers. Like, you know, you'd hear stories about like people like who like, you know, packed their bags and they left to go move to another city to pursue a dream.
Yep.
I never thought I would do that. And I realized I did do that 2 years into doing it.
Got you.
It just kind of happened.
Like, it's like you took the risk without actually building it up in your head and saying, I'm about to take the risk. It just...
And my dad pointed out to me, because my dad, he said to me, he was like, and this was one of the nicest things my dad's ever said to me. My dad was a very successful person, took a lot of risks. Like, he like basically lived in a bloody mud hut and like finished off his life in Hertfordshire. Like, how the fuck does that happen?
Yeah.
Right? With his own business and all that stuff. But he said to me, he said, you're like me in the sense that you do something and you work it out as you go along.
Got you.
You don't wait. And I think that's kind of just what happened. As I just started doing comedy, and halfway through doing comedy, I was like, oh, fuck, I'm doing comedy. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's why when people ask me, like, and you can attest to this, when someone asks you, like, oh, so how'd you get into stand-up? There is no clear answer. You just got to fucking do it.
Yeah.
And just keep doing it.
That's it. And you stand-up is one of the things that you genuinely do just figure out as you go. And maybe even in you saying that about the risk-taking element of it, maybe there's even a lesson in that for me and for everybody else who embarks on the journey of stand-up or starting a business or, pornography, especially pornography. You really have to figure it out as you go along.
You got to buy a bigger outfit.
You know,
got to buy your own camera.
Got to make sure you got lube.
Exactly.
But the thing is, it's like with stand-up, it really is a case of, I don't know how I'm doing it or how I'm going to get to the next stage of it. You just keep chugging away, gig after gig. So moving into stand-up then, when was it that you decided you were when was your first gig?
So my first ever gig was in 2019, but I wasn't really doing stand-up. I'd do one gig and then not do it for ages. Like, I think in 2020, I probably did 5 gigs. In 2019, I probably did another 5.
Do you remember where that first gig was? Where was your
Lions Den Comedy Club.
And how did you even get there? In the sense of, how did you even find out
I
about
looked up
Den?
comedy in London, and that's the first place that comes up. And no disrespect to Lions Den Comedy Club, but fuck me, what a place. Oh my God, man. It is.
I've never had the pleasure.
Oh, bro, no, don't. Don't. It is the fucking Wild West. There's homelessness in there. There's people doing crack in the corner.
Oh, bless.
There's just fucking an animal in the corner of the stage just growling at you that will bite you if you don't do well enough.
It sounds like a great night.
The whole audience is just comedians just staring at you. Some of them haven't washed in weeks, you know. And then afterwards, they're like, do you want to come to the McDonald's? And you're like, no. I want to go home and like wonder why I've done this.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the time, I fucking loved it. I want to do it now. But yeah, that was my first ever gig. And fuck me, what a night.
But what got you there in the sense of what was the moment when you were like, I'm going to go do comedy?
I've always loved stand-up. So like my mum and dad, for better or for worse, would let me watch stand-up really young. I was telling Adam Bloom this, who's like a veteran comedian friend of ours. Great book.
Yep, great book.
Like that, yeah.
Finding Your Comic Genius.
Yeah.
Go check it out on Amazon.
Yeah,
now.
very handsome man. Went to Saudi Arabia with him for comedy. Love you, Adam. But like I watched Adam on Live at the Comedy Store when I was a child.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I'd always watch what it was on the TV, Lee Evans, Eddie Murphy a lot. So I always loved it. And it just kind of came to me to try in 2019. And then the reason why I didn't start properly until the end of 2020, 2021.
Yep.
Because I was just too nervous to be consistent. So I'd like book a gig. I'll give you a number. I probably booked in 2019, 2020. I probably booked probably about 50 gigs for 2019 and 2020. By the end of 2020, I'd probably done less than 20 gigs.
With that nervousness, how did you overcome that?
It just kind of went away. I think the desire to do it became so strong that it overtook the fear.
Do you feel like you don't have that nervousness or that fear now then?
No, not really. Like I get a little bit for the bigger gigs. I get like butterflies and I'm more focused, but I don't give a shit now. Like if I bomb, I bomb. I don't, you know this, like bombing ain't like if you bomb, you go back and you just learn from it. You feel gross on the drive home, but like it's not going to stop you from you're not going to run away from stand up. Do you know what I mean? If anything, you're fucking looking for another gig that night to get the stench off. Do you know what I mean?
That is really what it is like.
Yeah.
That is genuinely what the addiction to some degree is like. It's like you need that redemption.
Yeah.
You need that redemption arc. And if you can get it in the same night, then 100%.
Yeah.
But funnily enough, I mean, I don't know. I still get nervous. I genuinely still get nervous. I still feel that. That's why I asked that question. But I think stand-up is better when you don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I think when you can get yourself to a place where you give less shits, you will have a better time up there and you'll find funnier material.
Yeah.
I don't think it's, and that's not me saying that you shouldn't care. I think everyone, you should care because you love it. But at the same time, I think being loose and feeling like, if I bomb, I bomb. If I don't, I don't. That definitely gives you much better material, much better experience on stage. I
try to say it and deal with the repercussions later.
Yeah.
That's my kind of policy on stage. Like, I say a lot of wild stuff in my stand-up. I mean, you've seen my sets. Like, I'll like lay into people, and I won't really think about.
I mean, you were strangling someone in the front row just a few weeks ago, weren't you?
A few weeks ago. That's like most gigs. I've kissed men on the forehead. Yeah. I've sat on laps. I've strangled people. Oh yeah, one time I pulled this kid up from his chair and put him in a chokehold. Yeah, because the audience were being dry, and I said, "If you don't laugh, he gets it." And I was pretending the microphone was a gun. Like, do and consider your behavior later. Right. I'll just try and like be loose up there, and I appreciate that these people are coming for something that is I try not to patronize the audience by thinking they're not going to get it. Yeah. Like, I think they can, most of the time, audiences can appreciate that they're in a place, 90% of them anyway, can appreciate that they're in a place where people are breaking rules. Right. So and that's why they're there. They come for that purpose. They want to see people say things that maybe they won't say in their daily. Exactly. So if I do stroke a grown man's beard in the front row and not acknowledge it and just continue talking as normal, they appreciate there's a performative aspect of it. I kind of like to think of it as like, when you go to like a themed restaurant. Have you ever been to a themed restaurant? Yeah. Where, like, for example, those restaurants where the waiters and waitresses are intentionally rude to you. Yep. You can't get mad at that. That's why you can't get mad at a comedian for being playing into their performance. You know? That's all part of the shtick. Like, I think, like, you find your voice on stage, and I think my whole angle on stage is just like little man, slightly aggressive but playful at the time, and knows he's not a threat. That's kind of what I am on stage. And it's an exaggerated version of who I actually am. I think that's a perfect, like, you've definitely, you've got that down to a T. Like, I hiss at people. Yeah, you've got it down to a T. You know who you are on stage. And I think that's a perfect encapsulation of that, like 100%. And the non-threatening part, I think, allows you to get away with doing a lot of the things that you do. If you and I both were like 6'2", 6'3",
it would just be, I mean, if I was 6'3", like I couldn't do half the shit I do on stage because people would just see me as a big black guy and I'm intimidating.
Yeah.
You know? Whereas now I'm like, I'm everyone's friend.
Yeah, exactly.
So if I say something shitty, it's like, but he ain't gonna.
Like,
you know what I mean?
I have this one bit. So I have this one bit, it's on my Instagram, where like I got this like massive guy to stand up. And I was like, why are you this big?
Yeah.
And I was getting mad at him for being big, right? And it's funny because he's so calm and there's just this little boy screaming in his face.
Yeah.
And people can appreciate that. And there's like times where like I went to his face, I was like, what? And I'm like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And like hide behind the chair and stuff. Like you just play into like, I think what you're doing is you're trying to channel your subconscious.
Right. Yeah.
You're trying to manifest your subconscious on stage a little bit. There's times where I've done that. Like I've had weird moments on stage where I've said stuff and I'm like, oh, I know where that came from.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like you say something, you're like, oh, the audience don't know that came from somewhere else. Like
Can you think of one of those things?
I can think of a couple of things. So I did one gig where I was like doing crowd work. I did mostly crowd work for the set. And I was like cussing these group of lads. So it was always fair game. Audience had no problem with you cussing up young guys for being laddish, right? Yeah, just making fun of them. And then I walked away. And I walked back and I screamed, say sorry, right? And they said, what for? And I was like, just say it, right? And they said sorry. And I was like, good. And then and it got a laugh. But then I realized, oh, I just had an argument with my brother.
Ah, got you.
And it's just like, I'm arguing with a guy who kind of looks like him, similar age. And it spilled out. And like on stage, I was like, that's why I said that.
Yeah, I got you. So bearing in mind that you did a PhD in, is it psychology?
Yeah.
So you did a psychology PhD. Do you feel as though that actually impacts on your comedy or the way that you do comedy in any way, shape or form?
I don't think it does, you know. People have asked me this before and I don't think there's one because I studied extremists. So
and your act is a little bit extreme.
It is, maybe.
Yeah.
What one thing I do appreciate is, and I think this just comes from comedy, I enjoy being the unusual one in the room. And I know how amusing that can be for people. But I don't think that necessarily comes from just through studying psychology. I mean, that just comes from understanding the psychology of a comedy room.
Yeah, I got you.
And the dynamic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't, you know what? I don't think it has. I don't really talk about my psychology that much on stage, you know, like no background. Like I have a few bits, but not really, you know.
What do you enjoy talking about the most on stage then?
Family stuff. One, because I generally find the stories funny. A lot of them are based in truths as well. And also I like what effect it has in a room. Yeah. I like that. Like I'll tell a story about like my dad, who's a 70-year-old Turkish man, but there's people from lots of different backgrounds nudging their family or nudging their dad who's in the room saying, you do that. Right. Like I just love the vibe of that, like the collectiveness it can create in a room.
When there's a shared experience, I think that's what it is a lot of the time. Shared experience is a beautiful thing, and the more people that have shared or have a shared experience, it's the more the humor will connect. Yeah, you know, the more the jokes will bang, and also it's the more you endear yourself to them because it's like you come off stage and you're like, hey, I'm one of you. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like we're all one of the same. We've lived the same experiences. And that's a beautiful thing. I feel like that's something that I have always struggled with because my upbringing was so different to just the generic, like, black upbringing of, like, maybe a West Indian household. Yeah. So it feels like the things that happened in a lot of those households, they didn't really happen in mine. So sometimes I'm, like, picking bits, you know?
Well, you say that. I was having this discussion with someone else recently. Your experiences as a black man, I'd say, are important because, like you said, maybe they're not like a traditional black origin story. Yeah. But you're still a black man who has this story, and there has to be diversity within the diversity. True. You know, there are people who are like you out there who want to hear from you. Do you know what I mean? There are black guys who have had similar experiences to you who would love to hear from you. You just have to hopefully get big enough reach to capture those people as well.
I agree with you, and I think also it kind of harps back to something that I've always thought in terms of authenticity, and you can't be anything other than who you are.
Exactly.
Or you shouldn't try to be anything other than who you are. And the more authentic you can be, and the more yourself that you can be,
unless you're a paedophile,
you
stop being who you are. Stop it, you naughty, bad
pedophiles.
Naughty. You silly goose.
Oh, but yeah, no. In the creative sense, not the sexual. What's the word I'm looking for?
Orientation.
Nah, sexual offense.
Oh, right.
Yeah, sexual. Not in a sense of sexual offenses.
Yes.
But yeah, no, in a creative sense, like you got to be you, and your audience will find you. You know what I mean? You'll find the people that you're meant to connect with. You write about wanting to have a Netflix special.
Yeah.
Do you really want to have a Netflix special, or do you feel like you just want a Netflix special because people have Netflix specials?
Bro, I just want to hear dum and then my stupid face pop up. That's all I want in life.
Yeah.
That's so much. Do you know why? No, I want a Netflix special because for the last maybe 7 years, it's been the pinnacle of our industry.
Right.
But by the time I get ready to do anything like that, I reckon the industry will probably have moved on by then to something else anyway.
Yeah, but
There'll be a new pinnacle.
But it will still mean something to you.
It would, yeah. It would.
It will still mean something to you.
It would still be a landmark.
In your eulogy, you mentioned brother Farhan.
Yeah.
He made it into your eulogy.
Yeah, he's there.
He's there in the eulogy. So who is Farhan?
Farhan is my my lover, my son.
What? Oh, sorry. So is this a Freudian slip here?
My lover.
Am I sitting next to a paedophile in the making?
He's my lover. He's my son. He's my friend. He's my colleague.
Yeah.
He's my everything. He's all around us at all times.
It sounds like a omnipotent figure.
I've worked very hard on that boy to get him to where he's at in his life.
Bless.
I've set him on the right. Now, Farhan is a very close friend in comedy, who apparently I'll be joining ISIS with pretty soon.
Imagine if you did join ISIS.
Oh, I'd love to, man.
Imagine how much this podcast would blow up.
Yeah, and so will I.
Set it up.
England.
When did the two of you meet?
We met at my comedy competition that I was running, 1 Minute Smoke, and he won it.
Okay, got ya.
Yeah.
So that was the first meeting that you two ever had, yeah?
Yeah, in
first
person,
time you ever. Yeah. Okay, got ya.
He came. One of my friends sent me his videos because they worked together at a bank, investment bank, and was like, "Oh, you should check this guy out." And I was like, "He's good." So I invited him on 1 Minute Smoke, and he won it. And then we just kind of started hanging out. And weirdly, me and Farhan have just kind of been almost like grouped together in comedy. We do a lot of the like same gigs.
Yeah.
And we've kind of moved along in the game, I guess, at around the same rate, which is interesting. Yeah, I spend a lot of time with that boy. I traveled the world with him now. Traveled England 3-4 times over. You get to know someone when you spend that much time in a car with someone, you know, or on trains.
And what have you discovered?
He's just a horrible little man. He's just he's fat, he's ugly, he smells. Massive penis though. Oh my God.
Oh,
huge penis.
Clearly you two are getting closer than I thought.
Massive.
There's
massive penis.
Someone spoke to me the other day and they were like, because you know, like in comedy, you get a vibe as to who knows who, who's cool with who.
Yeah.
And they were saying to me, they were like, "Oh yeah, I always thought that you were like in that clique with Muhsin and Farhan and Ed." And I was like, "Well, I'm friendly with I'm friendly with them.
We're not the fucking mean girls. One way or another."
Nah, but
who was it? Say names, bro.
I don't say names, bro. Nah, it's not even like it was a negative thing.
Yeah.
But it's just that perception. Because I've always kind of seen myself as a bit of like this kind of not a lone wolf, but just the kind of guy who I just talk to everyone. You know what I mean? But then I was adopted. I was adopted into the fold of you and Farhan.
I mean,
Ed.
especially maybe like 1.5 years, 2 years ago. We never hang out rarely do we hang out as a four now because everyone's just so busy. But there was a moment where we were running a gig together. in the basement of a pizza shop.
We were indeed.
Yeah, we were spending a lot of time together. I mean, me and you, we still talk loads.
Yeah.
Like you're up there with, you're up there as like one of the most frequent callers on my phone.
Yeah.
I call you quite a lot.
And we do that rare thing of actually having conversations.
Yes.
Which a lot of people don't really do anymore.
No, people don't sit down and chat to people. They just text in passing.
It's a texting thing, man.
We go for coffees. We've gone for a couple of coffees.
We've gone for coffees. We've gone for food.
We've gone for food.
I feel like this is just a justification of our friendship now.
Yeah.
It's like
we're friends. Listen, no, creed, color, race, sexual orientation, religion, like we're still friends.
Going through your eulogy, you say it, I say you say it in jest, but I don't know. So you talk about grappling with your sexual identity.
Come on.
Do you feel like you ever have?
When I was a kid, there was a moment where I thought I was gay, but I was tricked.
Oh.
I was tricked
Do
into
tell us
thinking I
more.
was gay. So I said in year 8 or year 9, oh, David Beckham's good looking. And these two boys who were my friends said, oh, that means you're gay. And I was like, all right. I wasn't worried about it. Like, I was just like, all right, cool, I'm gay. Fine. So I went away with it, and I just, for like a week, in my head, I was gay. I was gay for a week, right? And then I started like rethinking. I was like, wait, how do I know if I'm gay? So I asked them. I was like, these guys know everything. So let me ask them. I was like, so you lot said I'm gay. Cool. But like, how do I know if I'm gay or not for sure? And they're like, put on gay porn. And if you like it, it means you're gay. I typed into Google gay prawns. Which is a very different search result. So I recalibrated, eventually came across some gay porn, and it was 2 men having sex on a forklift.
Got to have a forklift involved.
Yeah, got to have a forklift involved.
Got to have a forklift.
Didn't enjoy it. Realized I wasn't gay. Then I was like, I wonder what boy and girl is like.
Yeah.
So I watched a bit of boy and girl, and I liked that shit. And I've been straight ever since.
Oh, you know what? I think I have an idea or a theory that if you can appreciate the attractiveness of another man, and you can openly be like, he's an attractive guy.
Yes.
I think that's a sign that you're very comfortable with your sexuality.
I mean, there are some men out there who are objectively good looking.
Yeah.
Like Anthony Joshua is an objectively good looking man. Brad Pitt. You can't tell me, he might not be your type.
Right.
But he's like scientifically good looking.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. Like if there was a formula that showed what good looking was.
Yes.
It's there.
His ancestors were designed for sex.
Yeah.
For sure. Like that's what his fathers did back in the day. They just went to villages and had sex.
Just plowed through.
Yes.
Man. Just went through like the Vikings.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I think it's great. I think it's beautiful.
I talk about that a little bit in the sense of like knowing when, like, because I knew I was straight. Like the first time I had an urge, like that kind of thing of like having an urge, and it's like, well, I can't explain it. That's why I think like if people are gay, you gotta be born that way. Like surely, because it's like
controversial podcast. Are we saying being gay is natural? Are you sure you want to give that message to your listeners?
I just want views, man.
The church has come a long way. The church has come a long way. Look at this.
Oh, bless.
I'll speak to my boys at the mosque, see if we can, back the message.
See if they jump on board.
New age religion thing we've got going on here.
So you are Muslim.
Only on Tuesdays, but yeah.
To my knowledge.
Yes.
I love the fact, because I know you, I'm just making statements.
Yes. You're Muslim. You dirty Muslim.
I'm just making statements. I'm not even asking questions. But
You're Muslim.
So,
thank you.
Yeah.
It's like in that Beyonce podcast where that woman goes, "You are Beyonce," and Beyonce goes, "Thank you."
Thank you. I wasn't sure. Thanks for letting me know. But yeah, and you speak about the idea of getting your 72 virgins.
Oh yeah, come on.
All right.
Oh, that'd be great, man.
Would you really? Okay, I guess my question is, in the idea of like having more than one wife.
Sure.
Is that something that you would actively want?
Nope. Nope.
Why not?
That is long. Have you tried maintaining one relationship?
Oof,
Four, man.
I have.
Four is a long day. Oh, that's stress. I don't need that, man.
You wouldn't want it, no?
No, you have one wife, and every Tuesday you cheat. That's cheat on Tuesdays.
You know when someone says something, you're like, this podcast is gonna come back to bite this person in the ass.
My future wife's divorce lawyer. If he's worth his salt, he'll pull up this clip.
I'm telling you, it's gonna be 15 years down the line. You're gonna get the Netflix special. You're gonna get a couple of them. Millions in the bank. And then it's gonna be this old podcast dredged up on YouTube.
My son or my daughter, who finally Googles me, comes across this podcast and goes, "Dad, are you cheating on mum?" Shh.
Don't tell anyone.
Don't tell.
But okay, cool. That's fair. And I ain't gonna lie, like relationships are hard enough if there is just one person involved.
4 words, bro. 72 virgins is a terrible deal, by the way.
What? Why so?
72 talking phases. Are you mad?
No, man. I don't know if there's much talking going on.
Where you from? No way.
The funny thing is, it is funny because like they say you get 72 virgins, but no one tells you like the parameters around the situation once you got them.
Yeah.
You know, so maybe you do have to wine and dine.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
That's stressful, bro.
You got to talk to him and be like, no, don't trust me. It's not gonna hurt that much.
I just don't 72 virgins. Shit. Just give me one whore. You know.
That'll be good.
One whore who's done this before. I don't need 72 instructions like you're beautiful, plain. How many times I'm going to listen to Drake and light candles, bro?
Oh man,
Jesus!
And that is the remedy. That is That is what you got to do.
It is amazing, like when you first start having sex, the amount of effort you put into sex. You know,
oh dude,
you light candles every time. You're listening to music. Now you just if you're in a long-term relationship, you just get your cock out and you're just like it's Tuesday.
The thing I started to discover is like now, once you've been in a long-term relationship or you're old enough, you just undress yourselves.
Yeah.
You know, it's not even like, you know that thing where you're undressing each other and the tension's building and then you get to the bra and you're like, I think let me just get this first time. Now it's just like, you do you, I'll do me. I'll meet you on the bed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's the same 3 positions in the same 3 order.
It's the same structure.
It's the same dirty talk as well. You have like 3 or 4 lines. Whose pussy's this? It's so big. Yeah, you like that, don't you?
It really is.
Yes, I liked it just how I liked it 4 weeks ago.
It's so true.
And 4 weeks before that.
And then it's like,
yeah.
As long as we get there.
Yeah.
As long as we get there.
Praise
so
the
yeah.
Lord.
I like to think that conversations always kind of like come full circle. And I don't. We're so far off the circle.
Yeah. Fuck the circle, man.
But yeah, man.
An irregular shaped testicle was this conversation.
It's just one testicle.
Oh, just one little ball bag.
But yeah, so the thing about kids though.
Look at this skilled man. Look at this skilled man. Look at this.
So, talking about testicles.
Yeah.
How many do you think you'd want?
2 wicked pricks. 2 good cunts, you know. 2 dickheads that I like.
Yeah.
That way one's not lonely. They could stick together, hopefully, and be friends and look out for each other. Maybe I'm being a bit idealistic, but I don't know, man. Like, like the last 3, 4, 5 months has like made me realize, I need to like accomplish that.
Yeah.
If I can do anything, like I'm not just saying this to be like generic or like thing. Like if I can be good at one thing in this life, it'll be like be a good dad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. If I can do that, if I can accomplish that, and I've said that now, and I'm gonna be such a deadbeat dad. It's gonna be unreal. When I ditch my kids, they're gonna play this back like, you said you were gonna be good. I know. I didn't realize.
5 minutes previously, you spoke about cheating on mum on Tuesdays.
I didn't realize it was gonna be this hard. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Obviously, you spoke about your dad early doors. The fact that he's passed away. How did he die?
Chlamydia. The worst case of chlamydia the doctors have ever seen.
It wasn't you who gave it to him, is it?
No, it was this girl called Jenny who lives down the road from us. Lovely lady.
Jenny on the block.
Jenny on the block. To the left? No, that's not. That's Beyonce. But no, he died of chlamydia. It was the worst chlamydia anyone's ever seen. No, he had cancer. They found it at stage 3. So he probably had it for ages. But you know what these old men are like? They don't go to the doctors, man.
But you see, this is something that I've actually started thinking about myself in the sense of with cancer or anything of that nature, unless you're having symptoms, what do you do? Because sometimes, if I'm being totally honest, sometimes I've thought to myself, maybe I should get checked.
Yeah.
But then if you go to your doctor and you're like, I don't think I got cancer, but I just want to check. the first thing they're going to do is be like, well, run you through a symptom list, you know?
Yeah.
So with that being the case, like, did he have symptoms? Was there anything of that nature?
Yeah, and he didn't tell us, the silly goose.
Got you.
He just kind of dropped it on us one afternoon. And we were like, oh, no, you should go doctor. And he's like, nah, I'm on holiday. We're on holiday. And yeah, he just like, he could have gone to a private hospital and got it like looked at much earlier. But you know what these men are like, man. And to be honest, my dad was always comfortable with the idea of death. Like, it wasn't something. Shall I tell you how my dad told me he had cancer? I'll tell you. This is what he said. He's watching. That's the TV. Oh, by the way, I have cancer. We'll see what happens.
And then right back to watching Made in Chelsea.
Whatever he was watching, yeah. Just he was so okay with the idea. I think when you've lived a life like he did and like you've been through the stuff he has, like it's hard to be shaken up by things. You know? He was a very, very like. I know this is a weird thing to say, but it'll be much harder if something were to ever happen to my mum like that than it was for my dad, because he was so strong. It just made everyone else calm around him.
Got you.
But it's a different dynamic with your mum, you know.
Yeah. And how did you kind of deal with it in the sense of, did you feel strong at the time? Did you kind of struggle at times?
Yeah, all of the above. It all happens. Like, my dad's funeral was a fucking comedy show in the corner with you dickheads in the corner. Just chatting.
I was there. Yeah.
Not dressed like this.
Although part of me feels like I should have turned up like this, just for the comedic effect.
Yeah. Roman at my dad's funeral turned around to Farhan, who we spoke about earlier, pulled out, what did you have in your pocket?
What? Werther's original.
Werther's original, and said, want something to suck on. And I'm just in the rain burying my dad.
No.
And this guy's out here just throwing out zingers.
No, man, that was a genuine question.
Want something to suck on. Where's Muhsin? Oh yeah, he's burying his father about 10 meters away from us.
Nah.
Altaf is a comedy promoter, booking people for gigs in the corner. Yeah. People taking group selfies.
I'm running a tight 5, just try and get booked. Yeah, bless.
That was good for me though, to have you guys there, because seeing you guys having a good time.
That sounds so wrong.
In the corner, just having a nice day out. I was like, oh, there is normality at the end of this. This is nice.
Yeah.
But you could really tell who the normal people were and where the degenerates were. Because all these behaved people, and then in the corner, you just have these group of guys just sat around, probably thinking of 14 different ways they can cuss me right now. It was beautiful.
We were definitely on the outskirts of everything. Yeah. Right? We hung back a little bit, you know.
Were you the only black guy there?
I didn't check, to be honest.
I think you might have been.
That was one scenario where
my dad didn't have black friends.
No, I think there was another black guy. There was one other black guy.
Yeah.
You do a podcast with him, or you did that guy, man. How could you forget? He was in your podcast.
On my podcast,
Smoke Sessions. He used to be on that.
Oh, Peter.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, the other black guy.
Yeah. Peter. Oh, no, there was loads of black guys there.
Right.
There was several black guys there. Now I can think of at least another. Lavelle was there.
That's true. That's a black guy.
He's a black guy.
He is a black guy.
Peter was there. Tyler was there, who was on the podcast. And my mum's family friend, who's a black man, was also there. And you.
When I go,
you were the main one though. Don't worry.
Thank you, brother. When I go to funerals of like cultural funerals, I don't ever really look at it and do the whole thing of like how many black people are here. But when I if I go to any function that's mainly white, that's when I always feel like, all right,
I might get out.
How many black people are here? I can always, I don't know. See, I was trying to explain this. This is kind of like a weight that you walk around with as like I don't know if you feel it.
As a black man, I do. As a black woman.
I always feel like that sometimes, man. Anyway. But yeah, nah. If you had to kind of like, I don't know, state one thing or one of the biggest lessons that you kind of learnt from your dad while he was here, what was it? What was it for you?
Do now, ask questions later. Just do it. Start. Just do. Like the way my mum and dad started their business. My dad had a good job in Cyprus, so he moved my mum over to Cyprus. They were living there. He had a job at a radio station as an engineer. Good job in Cyprus. Got my mum a job there in the marketing team or something like that. So they both had steady salary incomes in a beautiful paradise island.
Yeah.
Like, it could be a lot worse, right?
Yeah.
And then my dad just got like a wild idea up his ass one day and said, fuck it, we're moving to England. Because we'd start lower, but the opportunities are much higher. Mad. It's like crazy to think about, right? So he moved to England, was working in a KFC. So, and like in a Wimpy Burger and selling eggs on White Hart Lane, outside the stadium. And he left this cushy job because he just had an idea that this is England. There's opportunities here. Like it's gonna be dead for a while, but eventually. And I saw a photo of him when my dad worked at Wimpy. Or was it KFC? And he was wearing the hat and the uniform, and he had the biggest smile on his face. And I was like, that's a man who really should maybe feel some type of way about his situation, but he's doing everything he does with pride and to the best of his abilities, you know, not blaming anyone. And he's just went past a butcher shop that was busy, but had a sale sign on it. He's like, what's going on here? Couldn't work it. So he went and just asked the guy, and he goes, you're always busy. I drive past you all the time. You're busy. Why is it up for sale? And he goes, I'm retiring. Don't have family to hand it off to. And my dad was like, fuck it. I'll buy it. Put every bit of money he had into it. Didn't know anything about butchering. And then he asked, like, made friends with the guy, and he goes, I'll buy this, but can you hang around for a couple of months to teach me the business? And this man, in the goodness of his own heart, just went, yeah, let's do it. So he learned the business with my mum. They opened the butcher shop, became very successful, turned it into a massive business, sold it, retired 30 years later. You know, like that. There's a lot you can learn from a guy like that who takes risks, just does, and asks questions later, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can learn a lot from a guy like that.
100%. That's a hell of a story,
Yeah.
man. And I think you're right. There's so many lessons in that, bro. So many lessons in that, you know?
And then he killed my mum with a butcher's knife. R.I.P. mum.
The mum who you clearly have said is still alive. There are holes in your story.
Muslim's origin story doesn't add up.
It doesn't add up at all. There's something I like to ask everyone at the end of this pod. And the question that I like to pose to you is, if there was one bit of advice that you know you should take, but you just haven't taken it yet, what is it?
Good question. Be open to trusting people in relationships again. I think that's a lesson.
Got you.
Yeah.
The answer that you've given, obviously, like it triggers a question in me, because you say trusting people in relationships again.
Shit, you know the story, Roman.
Yeah, but I'm doing a fucking podcast. I don't want to be like, yeah, so you recently broke up with your girl, right? Don't do that. Like,
yeah, you can, bruv. You know.
It's an interview.
You were there. You were on the front lines.
It's an interview.
You were called on the day. You might as well have been in the back seat while we were breaking up.
All right, so you...
You're just trying to fucking be coy about it.
Yeah.
So what's happened?
I'm trying to...
Motherfucker, you know what happened. Dressed like a vicar, suddenly you have memory loss.
Oh, bless. Oh, my son. My son. Oh, bless. So you went for a break.
I did.
You went for a breakup recently.
Yeah, how'd you know? Like you found me on the road.
Oh, bless. It's so hard. It's so hard to interview someone that you know mostly everything about.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you went through a breakup recently. So has it really... Do you feel like it's majorly impacted on your ability to trust in relationships?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. And I need to eventually get over that. And I think that's just going to be time.
Yeah.
Time and just having a clear mind. There is a slight worry that it's going to impact like most of my relationships going forward. But yeah, hopefully it doesn't. I'll let you guys know. I'll come back on this podcast in 2 years and let you know if it did or not.
Well, I mean, I think ultimately, because of the things that you want to achieve in your life, especially where family is concerned, it is something that you're going to have to overcome, and it will be time. You know, it's always time with these things. However, speaking personally, I mean, I got fucked over really young, and I don't think I've ever fully opened up again.
Yeah.
Following that, I've always had like a little bit of a wall.
Yeah.
Where I'm just too rational now. Like I let rationale.
That's where I'm at, and it's annoying
emotion.
me. Yeah.
You know.
That's exactly where I'm at, and it's annoying me. I don't want to be. I want to just be able to just relax.
Right.
You know, and just enjoy it.
Yeah.
Rather than just be pessimistic and.
And you know what? It's not even so much pessimism. Well, for me, like I don't see it as pessimism. It's more like realism.
Yeah.
Which ain't
Bro.
fun either.
You know what? Let's just be honest, Roman. I've seen too much bad behavior from people I've seen as like good people, men and women, where I'm like, oh, no one's safe out here, bro.
Yeah.
I know men who've treated their partners bad, not like hit them or anything, but like, not being honest about their feelings or cheated. I know girls who I think are good people who have done the same thing where they've not been honest in a relationship or even cheated. And I'm like, bro, no one's safe. No one's safe.
Yeah. And that's why, like, if you just find peace.
Yeah.
Like, I saw this thing the other day where it said, like, a man will settle where he finds peace. Because if you find peace and you don't have those feelings, if you're with someone and there's a part of you that's not constantly thinking, oh, who are they with? Are they telling me the truth?
Yeah.
Are they really where they say they are? If you could just live without that in the back of your head,
Yeah.
you just got to hold on to that.
Yeah.
You know? So, trusting is tough, bro. But, I think...
Especially in this day and age. Like, I don't think my parents ever worried about that stuff. It wasn't really built into their way of life and thinking.
Yeah.
And
to be fair, things are designed now for you to be deceptive. It's almost like even technology is designed for you to deceive to some degree.
Yes.
So it makes that a lot easier. But that's where it comes down to you as an individual. And it's a case of, can you live with yourself if you are duplicitous or if you do X, Y, Z. So, But she's out there. You never know. She might be watching this podcast. Send her a little message now.
That's a bit of a nick. You're watching me on a podcast, well, just message me, you weirdo. What's wrong with you? Come say hello.
Bless, man. Dude, I really appreciate you coming through, man. Appreciate you being part of Eulogize Me and for writing your eulogy. Is there anything you want to shout out or promote before the end of this?
No, can I point out one more thing that
certainly
I just saw that was funny on the road today?
Oh, go on.
While I was walking, I was crossing the road, standing next to this woman, and this guy in a van catcalled the woman, but he was on his own, which made me think he's doing that for the love of the game. Do you know what I mean? Like
he's not doing it to impress any friends or anything.
That was just for him, which is fucking mental. Catcalling is bad, but to catcall on your own is fucking insanity.
I mean, does it make it better if you're with someone?
I think it's more socially it's not good.
It's more. Were you gonna say socially acceptable? Understandable.
I can understand the psychology of it more.
Yeah.
If you're an idiot and you're trying to impress your mate, but this guy was just out here for the love of the game, like Kobe shooting on his own in the gym at midnight.
Imagine he practices his whistle in the mirror every night. Like, right, get the.
Yeah. Sharper, you idiot! Sharper!
More pitch! More pitch! Bless, man. Oh, man. Bro, what a lovely laugh to end on, brother. Thank you so much for coming through, man. I appreciate you. All right.
In a bit, bro.
Bless, brother. Yes.